Every time your hand touches money, you issue a command, even when your mouth says nothing. The note, the coin, the card, the transfer screen on your phone, all of it listens for the temperature of your spirit and the rhythm of your words. If you have wondered why income arrives but never seems to remain, why balances swell and then thin out with surgical precision, why you work harder, learn more, try new systems, and yet your accounts keep echoing the same number, you are not dealing with an arithmetic problem. You are dealing with a language problem. This is not a spreadsheet failure. It is a speech failure. People are trained to talk casually about money as if it were a brick, cold, mute, heavy, indifferent, when in truth, money behaves like a servant of law. It moves where it is honored. It pauses where it is doubted. It vanishes when it is mocked. The world taught you to budget in fear and then call that wisdom. I am here to teach you to bless in authority and call that order. Do not confuse this with superstition or with the sugary optimism that collapses the moment a bill arrives. Blessing is not daydreaming. Blessing is jurisdiction. It is the act of standing in your legal identity before the unseen and speaking in a tone that assumes compliance. You are not auditioning for approval. You are executing a rite. The moment your fingers meet money, you are at an altar. And altars do not respond to gossip, panic, or performance. They respond to decree. This is why the person who mutters, "I can't afford that," while holding cash is not describing reality. They are legislating it. This is why the person who jokes, "Money goes faster than it comes," is not being witty. They are filing paperwork with the law against themselves. The subconscious is a perfect clerk. It does not weigh your mood or track your sarcasm. It records your words as instructions and fulfills them without commentary. You've been taught to fear money and then given 1,000 reasons to justify the fear. Economy, background, timing, other people's decisions, until fear sounds responsible and blessing sounds naive. Fear parades as prudence. Blessing is dismissed as fantasy. That reversal is the engine of delay. The truth is simpler and more dangerous than most will admit. You are either speaking life into your supply or you are appointing loss to manage it. Silence is not neutral in this realm. Silence is consent to whatever narrative is already running in your nervous system, in your circle, in your culture. If the loudest voice at the moment of payment is dread, dread writes the outcome. If the loudest voice is reverence, reverence opens channels you cannot chart in a ledger. Begin here. Retire the posture of survival and reclaim the posture of governance. Survival makes you shrink around numbers as if they were wild animals that might bite. Governance makes you stand up and speak as though your word is a key that fits the lock. Numbers are not predators. They are reports. They report what you have been rehearsing. They report disorder if you have been contradictory. They report health if your words and actions have learned to agree. The outer is not the judge, it is the witness. You are the judge, and your rulings are delivered in sentences, actual sentences, spoken aloud, carrying the weight of your identity. Identity is not emotion. You can tremble and still speak as one who governs. The law does not reward volume, it recognizes posture. You must reframe every money moment from spending to circulating. Spending imagines depletion and clutches tighter as proof of virtue. Circulation recognizes a living system. In a living system, what leaves in trust returns as increase. When you hand something sacred to a river, it does not vanish. It travels and returns as what it touched, cleaner, larger, multiplied by the journey. Treat money this way, and your nervous system will stop bracing every time you part with value. Treat money as a threat, and your body will register harm at every transaction. How can you build wealth while constantly signaling to your own biology that you are in danger? You must end the internal alarm, and you do not end it by argument, you end it by instruction. Words are the only instrument the subconscious obeys without a fight, provided those words arrive with cadence, conviction, and consistency. Many of you learned your money language from homes that were expert in worry and fluent in complaint. You inherited phrases that felt harmless at the time, but became marching orders. There's never enough. Everything is so expensive. We just can't catch a break. Easy come, easy go. These lines do not sit idle in your history. They echo in your present unless you replace them. You do not need to villainize your past to be free of it. You only need to stop quoting it as law. When your mouth repeats old sentences, your life repeats old results. When your mouth issues new rulings, your life finds new routes. Budgeting without blessing is the art of arranging fear into neat columns. Blessing without order is noise that never builds a house. Blessing with order is architecture. I will not ask you to choose between discipline and decree. I will ask you to let decree set the tone so that discipline becomes an expression of peace, not a performance of panic. Order is not a stack of envelopes labeled due. Order is inner clarity that steadies your hand at the register, loosens your shoulders before you check the statement, and puts your words in charge before your feelings decide the story. Let us make the posture plain. When you meet money, whether it is a small coin in your pocket, a digital glance at your account, a bill being paid, or an envelope being opened, you take half a breath and choose your jurisdiction. You do not reach for a complicated paragraph. You do not attempt to persuade the universe with adjectives. You return to a line so clean that your bones can remember it under pressure. To protect you from imitation and to honor the originality of the source ideas while keeping you in the same current of power, we will not lift a sentence word for word from anyone. We will keep the law and change the letters. The essence is this: sacred supply does not run out, and what you bless returns to you increased by grace through rightful channels. Say it with the tone of someone who assumes compliance, and the atmosphere will adjust. Put the line in your mouth now and hear how your chest responds to it. Sacred supply is inexhaustible. I consecrate this money. It returns to me increased by grace through rightful channels. Feel how the phrase is brief enough to survive pressure and strong enough to carry instruction. There is no strain in that line. There is certainty. There is no loophole for fear to climb through. There is an assignment for your money and a destination for its return. Some of you will try to speak this once, then check your phone every 10 minutes and call that faith. That isn't faith. That is panic in a new suit. Faith is a rhythm you refuse to break. The subconscious will test you with old phrases the way a wound tests a bandage, looking for a seam to bleed through. It always goes fast. Something bad always happens. Every time I pay one bill, 2 more arrive. Those lines are not casual. They are contracts. You do not argue with a contract. You cancel it, replace it, and then issue a command. If you have poured years of momentum into the wrong sentences, do not marvel that the first day of right speech feels awkward. The mouth must unlearn what the culture taught it to say to earn sympathy. Let other people trade laughs and likes for their future. You are done using your tongue as entertainment at the expense of your own good. Perhaps you think all of this is lofty language until we touch proof. Then let us speak of demonstration without theatrics. I have watched the same pattern repeat across backgrounds and timelines. The moment a person stops describing lack and starts governing supply, the improbable finds a door. Why? Because improbable is simply a name we give to channels we did not plan. You do not need to chart the channel. You need to authorize the flow. There are arrangements already present in the field that cannot approach a hostile host. Make your heart a safe landing, and the field will send what belongs to you. This is why I do not ask you to chase. I ask you to bless, to consecrate, to circulate, to order. Order is not paperwork. It is peace placed in command of your affairs. In order, on purpose, ever increasing. Let that be the architecture you imagine over your money when you close your eyes at night. When your inner world carries that blueprint, your outer world begins to mirror it in appointments kept, invoices paid, opportunities noticed, channels you once ignored now appearing obvious. It is not magic. It is alignment repeated until resistance becomes bored and leaves. Now return to the moment that used to frighten you. The bill in your hand, the rent due, the tuition, the grocery total that climbs before it breaks. Notice your shoulders. Notice your breath. Dread trains your body to fold. Authority trains it to lengthen. You do not force a smile. You do not pretend numbers are different than they are. You treat the moment as sacred, and you perform the smallest, strongest ritual a human can perform. You speak, not pleading, not bargaining, not promising to try harder. You speak as one who is authorized to release what already exists in the invisible into the visible. Repeat the line and make it a signature across your transactions. Sacred supply is inexhaustible. I consecrate this money. It returns to me increased by grace through rightful channels. Whisper it when you tap the card. Breathe it when you tip. Think it with weight when you transfer. Let your tone be calm, not frantic, confident, not loud. Loud is a mask for doubt. Calm is the sound of authority. You will discover something that cannot be taught in theory the first week you do this with seriousness. The body learns the note before the mind approves the message. The first time you say the line, your chest may feel tight because you have used your voice for complaint so long that command sounds foreign. The second time, your breath will lengthen a fraction. The third day, paying will feel less like loss and more like circulation. The first deposit that arrives from a path you did not predict will tempt you to call it luck. You will know better. That temptation is only the old story trying to deny the new authority. Resist it. Call demonstration by its name. Gratitude is not a performance. It is the confirmation that you recognize law at work. There will be people who ask you to keep joking about being broke because shared complaint is the glue of small circles. There will be experts who ask for your resumes, your charts, your cost-cutting measures, and you may use any tool that is not rooted in fear, but tools are never the source. The source is what you are willing to say when no one is watching. The source is the line you put in your mouth at checkout and at midnight. The source is how you reframe outgoing to circulation and treat the movement of money through your life like breath. Steady, clean, replenished. The source is your decision to treat your speech as legal tender that prints the pattern your days must follow. If guilt tries to rise as you begin to prosper, treat it as a false witness and dismiss it. Overflow in righteous hands feeds more houses than shame ever will. You do not apologize for oxygen. Why would you apologize for provision? Scarcity wrapped in moral language is still scarcity. Blessing is not greed. Blessing is agreement with the nature of a generous source. Your increase does not steal from others, it instructs others. Your peace around money will teach more than your speeches about it. Walk softly, give gladly, and let your order be quiet and obvious. Finally, understand this: you are not here to survive your bills. You are here to govern your supply. The world will always offer you new reasons to fear and call that realism. Refuse the trade. Keep your realism for numbers and dates and due notices. Keep your faith for the law that makes numbers kneel. You have spoken loss long enough to memorize its script. Retire it. From now on, money is not your adversary and not your idol. It is an obedient instrument in a lawful system, and you are the voice that sets the system in motion. If that sounds grand, good. Truth should sound larger than the excuses that kept you small. You do not need permission to begin. You need a mouth, a line, and the courage to use both when it matters most. You change your finances at the point of contact, not at the end of the month. The contact is the hinge, your hand on a note, your thumb on a phone screen, your card against a reader, your eyes on a receipt. Most people treat that instant as paperwork. It is an altar. At an altar, you do not chatter, you do not whine, you do not run numbers in panic. You issue a decree with the posture of someone licensed to speak. That is the core of this method. When money and you meet, law wants a voice. Let it be yours. Begin with your body, because your body broadcasts the verdict before your mouth does. Shoulders down and back, jaw unclenched, one breath that is slightly longer on the exhale than on the inhale. You are not deflating, you are setting tempo. The law listens to rhythm more than it listens to volume. Then, in a tone a few degrees softer than normal speech, calm, not dramatic, you deliver a line that is short enough to hold during pressure and strong enough to carry instruction. We changed letters to avoid imitation while keeping the legal essence intact. Sacred supply is inexhaustible. I consecrate this money, and it returns increased by grace through rightful channels. That is the skeleton. You can shorten it on crowded lines. Sacred supply is inexhaustible. This returns increased, or lengthen it in private. Sacred supply does not diminish. What leaves me in trust returns to me enlarged by grace and through rightful doors. The wording is a vehicle. The authority is the engine. There is a choreography to contact. When you receive, the hand is palm up. When you release, the hand is palm forward. Receiving with an open palm acknowledges source without clutching. Releasing with a forward palm signals circulation, not loss. Try it once slowly at your desk so you don't have to rehearse in the aisle of a store. Touch, breath, line, release. Done. Do not scribble a wish list into the moment. Do not add 12 adjectives to sound spiritual. Concision is power. The law is an expert at obeying clean instructions. Digital counts as contact. The subconscious does not care whether you are tapping a leather wallet or a glass screen. Notification pings are doorbells. Train yourself to use them. Every payment sent, every deposit received, every statement ready is a cue for a single breath and the line. You do not need privacy. You need intention. Whisper if you must. Say it in your head if you must. But speak with your whole nervous system. Tone outranks decibels. Let's write this into everyday scenes so your mind stops calling it theory. The cafe line is long and your card is ready. As the reader beeps, you are already in posture. One steady exhale, then softly. Sacred supply is inexhaustible. This returns increased. You do not rush away like you did something wrong. You sign, you smile, you move, and you refuse to narrate the total to friends later as a wound. In the grocery store, the total climbs. You feel the old script looking for a mouth. Let it pass by. Breathe, touch the terminal, and speak the line. You are not pretending the number is smaller. You are placing the number beneath a superior law. At home, paying utilities, you open the email, you see due dates, you feel the twitch to sigh. That sigh is a tiny curse disguised as relief. Replace it. One breath, the line, pay in peace. Then close the tab and do not circle back to stare at the balance the way a child pokes a seed to see if it has sprouted. Sowing is one motion. Gawking is doubt in costume. When you receive, be as deliberate as when you release. A client pays, a refund lands, a friend returns what you lent. Old reflexes will tell you to say finally with the bitterness of someone wronged. That word forces the new money to carry your old resentment. Do not yoke it to that cart. Receive in stillness. Thumb on the notification, breath, the line. If someone hands you cash, take 1 second longer than usual to feel its weight and speak. You are not worshiping a note. You are training your system to recognize that contact with value is a legal moment. Legal moments ask for rulings. There is the fear that saying anything during transactions will make you look odd. You already look odd when you roll your eyes at the total and sigh loud enough for strangers to hear. Oddness isn't the problem. Allegiance is. If you are uncomfortable speaking aloud, embed microsignals into your day. Touch the edge of the note with your index finger and thumb for a fraction longer. Tap your right trouser pocket twice after a transfer. Lay your palm flat on your wallet for a heartbeat before you walk away. Pair a physical cue with the line whispered just above a breath. The goal is not theatrics. The goal is conditioned authority. Now we cleanse the most common points of contradiction. Counting cash with tension. If your knuckles blanch, you are telling your body that numbers are predators. Loosen the grip and count slower. Buying household necessities as if they were insults. You are allowed to purchase without apologizing in your chest. Try this reframe. These are proofs of trust, not penalties. Tipping while grumbling internally. Grumbling is a hex. Either tip in peace or reduce the amount until your heart can agree with your hand. Then work your way back up. Checking prices like a detective searching for betrayal. There is prudence and there is paranoia. Prudence checks numbers to plan. Paranoia checks numbers to feed itself. One produces order, the other produces drama. Your nervous system knows the difference, so does the law. We install a maintenance protocol for when you slip, because humans backslide into language the way streams return to old beds. If you hear yourself say a phrase of lack, I always lose it, everything is expensive, money never stays, do not spiral into self-judgment. That is more waste. Apply CRC, cancel, replace command. First, cancel. That statement is rescinded and void. Second, replace my supply is lawful and steady. Third, command, sacred supply is inexhaustible. I consecrate this money, it returns increased by grace through rightful channels. Say it neutrally, not the way a guilty child recites an apology. If others are present, do it under your breath. The subconscious hears a whisper as clearly as a shout if the whisper carries decision. Some of you have been trained to call this manifesting, and then treated it like a charm for convenience. It is not a charm. It is a jurisdictional act. The difference is not semantic. It is structural. Charms try to bend an indifferent universe with flair. Jurisdiction acknowledges a lawful universe and speaks in the voice it respects. That voice is certain, measured, and consistent. It does not flood the room with adjectives. It does not argue with outcomes after speaking. It does not keep reopening the case because anxiety wants company. Say it, seal it, move. Seal does not mean silence forever. It means you do not contradict what you just decreed. If additional words are needed, they must be in the family of the first decree, not its rival. You will be tempted to make a spreadsheet of declarations and call that progress. The spreadsheet is useful later. At contact, fewer moving parts win. Your line is the single lever with the widest effect because it operates at the intersection of habit, identity, and law. It is specific enough to touch the transaction and broad enough to shape the atmosphere of your finances. The more you use it, the less you will feel the itch to narrate prices as personality. The itch will still visit. Let it pass like weather. Weather does not write laws. Gifts and donations need their own note. Many people give from fear and call it virtue. Fear of being judged, fear of guilt, fear of cosmic punishment if they hold back. That frequency is an invoice to resentment. Give from order, not from panic. When you release value to a cause or a person, do not make a speech in your head about whether it will come back. That makes you a lender disguised as a giver. Breathe, line, release. You've made the return the law's job. Stop micromanaging it. And if you cannot give without poisoning the gift with suspicion, recalibrate the amount until your spirit can stand behind it. Then increase as your peace increases. If you find money, a coin on a sidewalk, a bill under a sofa cushion, do not curse it with contempt because it is small. The spirit you place on the small models the frame you will place on the large. Smile, not a performance smile, a recognition smile. Touch, breath, line. You are not boasting to passers-by. You are teaching your field that you notice value and treat it with reverence, not with the sarcasm of someone who thinks they are above pennies. People who despise proof of principle never graduate to its larger forms. There's a particular contact that quietly drains people. The bank app glance. The glance is the rehearsal room for whatever song will play later at the register. If you train yourself to turn these glances into altars, phone open, shoulders down, one slow exhale, line, your purchases will stop ambushing you with fear because you will have preset the jurisdiction of your day. Pair this with a simple boundary. Do not open your banking app while in lines where you cannot breathe and speak without pressure. Withdrawals forced into rush become rehearsals of fear. You do not feed fear and then ask peace to drive. Investments are contacts too. Before you press buy or sell, before you sign an agreement, before you join an opportunity, bring it under the same sentence. Sacred supply is inexhaustible. I consecrate this money. It returns increased by grace through rightful channels. Then add a clause for guidance. I proceed only through rightful doors. Anything not in order closes. You are not daring the universe. You are calibrating channels. If the channel is not rightful, let it close quickly and gently without dragging your ego through the gravel. Closed doors are not insults. They are hygiene. What about debt? Debt is not a character trait. It is a current structure. Structures change faster under law than under shame. When making payments, never stamp your future with bitter jokes. Payment is not penance. It is circulation with a destination. Breathe, line, pay, then add. This balance dissolves in right sequence by grace and in order. You will stop experiencing payments as punishments and start noticing pathways you were blind to while complaining. Complaint is a blindfold that calls itself a personality, a word about tone. Loudness is not authority, it is adrenaline. Authority is a parent calling a child in from the street. Steady, final, no drama. That is the tone you are cultivating at contact. If you hear yourself performing, scale back until you can feel the weight of the words without theatrics. Some of you will want music, candles, elaborate rituals. Keep your altar portable. If your practice only works in a perfect setting, it will fail at the register. Let the practice fit in a breath. Do not tangle this with superstition about jinxing good news. Jinx language is a cheap religion for people who distrust order. You are not jinxing anything by blessing it. You are aligning it. You are neither bragging nor tempting fate. Bragging seeks witnesses. Alignment seeks agreement. If you feel the urge to announce every shift, stay quiet and consistent until your life is loud enough to speak for you. Then speak to teach, not to boast. You will also meet the internal accountant who insists on knowing the timeline for every return. That impulse is fine for project planning and destructive for law. Returns take routes you do not manage. If you attempt to schedule them like invoices you sent to yourself, you will ride the seesaw of elation and disappointment until your mouth doubts your own decrees. Better to cultivate a stance. What I bless returns increased by grace through rightful channels. On time and on target. On time does not mean on your calendar. It means not late for its assignment. That is a different piece. Here's a compact drill for the next 3 days to burn the pattern into your reflexes. Choose one category each day. Groceries on day 1, utilities on day 2, transfers on day 3. For that entire day, every contact in that category gets the full choreography. Breath, line, posture, release. No exceptions, no commentary. At night, put your phone on airplane mode for 60 seconds. Hold it like a ledger closing. Breathe once and speak. Order in, fear out. In order, on purpose, ever increasing. Then put it down and go to sleep without scrolling. You are not punishing yourself. You are teaching your brain who is in charge of your doors. You do not need a miracle to begin. You need a sentence and a spine. The next time money touches you, or you touch it, you will not slide into the default script of your childhood, your timeline, your neighborhood. You will run the ritual in 3 moves that take less than 5 seconds and change the atmosphere you live in. 1 steady breath, 1 clean decree, 1 calm release. Do this until the act becomes so automatic that your body does it before your mind explains it. That is how you know jurisdiction has migrated from theory into reflex. And when night presses in and morning is still a rumor, the same law will meet you at both gates. That is where we go next, because if you govern the thresholds, the hours between will start obeying on their own. There are 2 doors that decide what your money will do tomorrow: the last 10 minutes before sleep and the first 10 minutes after waking. Everything in between takes its orders from these gates. Most people let those minutes be colonized by worry, scrolling, and stale phrases that feel harmless because they are quiet. But the subconscious does not grade by volume. It grades by proximity. The word nearest to sleep and nearest to dawn wins the day. If you learn to govern those edges, you won't have to wrestle the middle so hard. The night gate is not a time to negotiate with numbers. It is a time to imprint law. Negotiation keeps the mind stimulated and the nervous system lit like a store that never closes. Imprinting shuts the lights in order. Think of your consciousness as a business that does its best work when the shop is closed and the accounts are reconciled. If you end your day with stray tabs open, articles, messages, arguments, price checks, your inner bookkeeper spends the night sorting other people's noise instead of installing your decree. End the day like a chief financial officer who trusts the system. Concise review, clean instruction, silent seal. Here is a 7-at-night protocol that will do more for your finances than an hour of panic disguised as planning. Minute 1. Close. Literally close something. Your laptop, the stack of mail, the last app on your phone, and say out loud, "This day is concluded in order." You are teaching your body to associate closure with peace, not with compulsive rechecking. Minute 2. Clear. Sit or lie down with one hand on your chest and one on your lower ribs. Breathe steadily for 60 seconds with a longer exhale than inhale. You are setting cadence. Law prefers cadence to chaos. Minute 3. Consecrate. Touch your wallet or your phone if it holds your accounts for a single heartbeat and speak, "Sacred supply is inexhaustible. I consecrate my money. It returns increased by grace through rightful channels." Minute 4. Circulate. Picture any outgoing from today, tips, bills, groceries, not as leaks but as a river that left you refined and returns to you expanded. No drama, just the quiet conviction of circulation. Minute 5. Assign. One sentence only. Every dollar in my world is in order, on purpose, and ever increasing. Minute 6. Seal. I have spoken, I do not contradict. Then silence. Minute 7. Sleep. No scrolling to hunt for a feeling. Sleep is now your ally because you dismissed the court without leaving the case open. If nocturnal fear comes to bargain, if your mind reheats a bill at 1 a.m. and calls it responsibility, do not argue with it. Arguing gives fear a microphone. Use the night interruption protocol. Hand to chest, hand to lower ribs. Exhale longer than inhale twice, then whisper once. Order stays, fear goes. That's it. You are not writing a paragraph for the dark. You are stamping the same verdict you gave at bedtime. Repeat only if your breath gets choppy. Breath is the metronome of belief. When it slows, your system remembers who is in charge. Do not make the night gate performative. You do not need candles and a soundtrack to talk to the law. If ritual objects help you focus, use them. But keep the ritual portable so you can do it in a hotel, on a couch, in a room that is not your own. Authority that requires perfect ambience is not authority. It is theater. The point is impression, not presentation. There is a practical housekeeping layer to the night gate that keeps you from undoing your work by accident. Do not open your banking app or check prices in the 15 minutes after your seal. You already closed the store. Don't sneak back in the side door. If a notification pops after you seal, treat it as spam. It will still be there in the morning, and you will be stronger for answering from the morning gate. Place your wallet and phone where your hand can touch them easily without turning on a lamp. We are removing excuses. If you must put devices in another room to sleep, leave a placeholder. A folded note that says consecrated is enough to touch during the night protocol. The body remembers what the hand learns. Now the morning gate. Most people miss dawn because they let the phone speak first. The first voice becomes the supervisor of the entire shift. If you start the day with a feed, you outsource your jurisdiction to strangers. Start with a decree, and everything you see after that stands on. Make this theoretical. Build a 2-minute morning cadence that can survive alarms, schedules, children, travel, and mood. Minute 1. Before touching your phone, touch your chest and breathe one steady cycle. Then speak, I greet my supply. Sacred supply is inexhaustible. Minute 2. Touch your wallet or phone and say, I consecrate today's circulation. What leaves me in trust returns increased by grace through rightful doors. I walk in order, on purpose, ever increasing. Then stand up and move into the day like someone who already has a ruling on the books. If you need a physical anchor, pair the morning line with a simple act you never skip. Turning on the kettle, opening a curtain, tying your shoes. Anchors are useful because they keep your decree from floating into when I have time territory. You always have time to tie your shoes. Let the tying become your chime. Lace, breathe, decree. If you commute, choose a landmark on your route, a corner, a tree, a staircase, and make it your silent cue to repeat the line once more. You are not begging the morning, you are engraving it. You will ask how many repetitions are enough. The law does not grade by counts, it grades by consistency. Choose a number that is sustainable under pressure. 3 precise repetitions done daily will outrun 30 done desperately once a week. If you enjoy numbers, keep them private so you don't turn your decree into superstition. We are not gambling for luck. We are issuing orders. The first financial contact of the day is your test. If you open your bank app while standing in a kitchen that smells like coffee and decree still in the air, you will learn how quickly dread tries to rewrite the morning. Do not sprint away from the screen if a number triggers you. That trains your system to fear data. Stay. Breathe once. Put your finger on the edge of the phone as if you were closing a file. Then speak the line in a voice that could talk a child off a ledge. Calm, low, certain. Then put the phone down and do one small act in agreement with abundance. Make the bed well, water the plant, answer a message with kindness. Agreement in motion stabilizes agreement in speech. The second financial contact of the day should be intentional. Pay something small on purpose. A transit card top-up, a tip, a microdonation, so your nervous system learns early that release is not loss. The amount is irrelevant. The sequence is everything. Breath, line, calm release. When this is the first financial motion your body performs, the rest of the day falls in step with circulation rather than hoarding. Fear hoards in the morning and calls it prudence. Authority circulates in the morning and calls it order. Some mornings will not be quiet. Children will need things. Messages will crowd the screen. The sink will complain. Fine. Fold your decree into the motion. Speak it while you pour milk. Speak it while you zip a backpack. Whisper it in the hallway while shoes are found. You do not need a monastery to govern a day. You need a mouth that refuses to let noise draft the schedule of your spirit. What about those mornings when you wake with a stone on your chest and thoughts already sprinting? Use the morning override. Sit on the edge of the bed, feet on the floor, palms on thighs. Exhale until your shoulders drop an inch, then say, I set the tempo. Pause. Sacred supply is inexhaustible. Pause. Today's circulation returns increased by grace through rightful doors. Do not add adjectives. Do not demand proof. Proof will arrive in the hours if you keep your mouth from reversing the order you just placed. Attach a simple no contradiction rule to the first hour after your decree. For 60 minutes, do not use phrases that make your decree your enemy. No, this is going to be expensive groans. No, money disappears the second it hits my account recitations. If you slip, apply CRC on the spot. Cancel, replace, command without drama. That is rescinded. My supply is steady. Sacred supply is inexhaustible. Think of it as keeping the paint wet long enough for it to set. Mocking your own fresh work is how people stay broke with style. There's a question hiding under all of this. What do you do with dreams that echo lack? Dreams are the mind's recycling program. If you dream of bills, do not treat it like prophecy. Treat it like trash day. On waking, say, "Old scripts out," then run your decree once and move. If a dream brought a clear instruction, call someone, cancel something, apply somewhere, act without dramatizing it into mysticism. Law uses ordinary doors to deliver extraordinary returns because ordinary doors do not trigger your ego. The night and morning gates are also the best times to remove guilt while it is sleepy and cooperative. Guilt about wanting more or receiving more is the hidden clause that nullifies many decrees. At night, after your consecration line, add, "I prosper rightly, overflow in my hands is a blessing." In the morning, after your circulation line, add, "I receive in peace, I give with joy." You are not fighting guilt. You are replacing it with a sentence that the subconscious can file as policy. Policies beat feelings in any organization that intends to last. Students often ask for journaling at these gates. Writing can be clean, or it can be a tunnel. If you journal, keep it to 3 lines that behave like a briefing, not a diary. At night, what circulated today? 1 line of gratitude, your consecration sentence. In the morning, 1 intention for circulation, 1 channel you permit, sales, salary, gifts, refunds, royalties, opportunities. Name 1, your circulation sentence. If you hear yourself chasing adjectives, stop. This is not literature. This is law. Let's set guardrails for common derailments. Derailment 1. Doom scrolling money headlines at midnight. Solution: move the news app off your first screen. Put a single sacred phrase on your lock screen. Read that instead. Derailment 2. Opening the bank app before you open your mouth. Solution: set a phone automation that displays a 2-line reminder when you wake. Speak first, check second. Derailment 3. Arguing with a partner about money before breakfast. Solution: institute a house rule. No money meetings until both have spoken their lines and eaten. Hungry throats make expensive laws. Derailment 4. Making grand vows at midnight only to forget them by 9 a.m. Solution: put your line in 3 places that force contact. Bathroom mirror, wallet, and the back of your phone case. Your eye sees it, your hand touches it, your mouth remembers it. The gates are also where you practice blessing the small without sarcasm. If you find a coin while brushing your teeth at night, do not say figures. That sound trains your field to hide bigger proofs because you humiliate the small ones. Pick it up, feel its weight, speak the line once, and put it where you can see it in the morning. When you see it at dawn, thank the pattern, not the amount, and repeat the line. You are not celebrating pennies. You are celebrating the mechanism that carries millions. What if you share a bed or a room and feel foolish murmuring lines? You may whisper, but never apologize to yourself for believing in order. Shame is louder to the subconscious than a whisper is. If speaking aloud is impossible, touch and breathe. And at least move your lips. The body knows when the mouth joins the hands. If you must be silent, write the line with your finger on your thigh or the sheet once. The motion makes a groove. There is a temptation to treat the night and morning as the entire practice and then return to complaint in the afternoon. That is like brushing your teeth twice and eating sugar all day to punish your dentist. The gates set the software. The day is the hardware test. You will still have to steer language at the register, at the desk, in the meeting. But if your gates are held, the steering wheel turns easier because the engine is tuned. A brief word on evidence. Evidence will show up first as microshifts, paying without a gut flinch, a refund processed sooner than expected, a fee waived because your tone disarmed a clerk, an invitation that feels uncannily timed. Call it what it is, demonstration, not in public to collect praise, but in private to inform the system, yes, this is the path. When larger proofs arrive, resist the performative announcement. Fulfillment is not a content strategy. Spend your loudness on teaching someone willing how to take the steps, not on proving you were right. Your peace is supposed to grow with your numbers, not shrink while your posts grow longer. If you have deeply entrenched habits at these gates, change one lever at a time. Trying to overhaul everything at once teaches your mind to hate the process. First week, speak at night. Second week, speak at night and in the morning. Third week, add the first intentional circulation of the day. By the fourth, your mouth will reach for the line without your help. And that is the point. Jurisdiction becoming reflex. When reflex holds, crisis loses leverage, because crisis can only dominate people who negotiate with it. The gates do not guarantee that you will never see a bill again. They guarantee that bills will stop writing your personality. They do not guarantee that you will never need to adjust a plan. They guarantee that adjustments will be made from command instead of from collapse. They do not turn you into a monk uninterested in numbers. They turn you into a governor uninterested in panic. Everything that follows, clearing guilt out of your system, installing divine order in your decisions, turning payments into proof of circulation, depends on these two doors staying under your hand. If you bless the thresholds, the rooms behave. If you neglect the thresholds, the rooms reflect whatever walked in from the street. You now know how to lock the street out and let order in. When you lie down tonight, you will not leave your money outside like a stray problem. You will bring it to the altar for 1 minute, speak as one licensed to speak, and close the store in peace. When you rise, you will not ask your phone to tell you who you are. You will tell the day who you are and let the numbers adjust. This is not performance. It is governance in 2 quiet appointments. From here we move to the invisible weight that makes so many decrees stall even when the rhythm is right. Guilt about wanting, receiving, keeping, and enjoying. We will not drag guilt to court to argue with it. We will revoke its badge and install order in its place, because law respects order, and order opens channels that shame has been quietly closing for years. Guilt is the quiet veto that sits inside otherwise perfect decrees. You can master the cadence of blessing, hold your posture at the register, govern the night and morning gates with precision, and still watch your results stall if a small voice inside insists that wanting more is wrong, receiving more is selfish, or keeping more is dangerous. That voice rarely shouts, it sighs, it wraps itself in moral language and calls the constriction humility. But constriction is not holy. Constriction is a refusal to receive. The law cannot deliver into closed hands, and guilt's first assignment is to close your hands. Understand what guilt actually does in the system. It does not purify you. It does not make your money honest. It assigns suspicion to every incoming channel and shame to every outgoing one. When a payment lands, guilt forces you to flinch and search for a reason you don't deserve it. When a bill appears, guilt whispers that it is punishment for some earlier prosperity. If you let guilt run the accounts, you will hide money from yourself, sabotage opportunities that would have fed your house, and then call the wreckage God keeping me humble. That is not humility. That is disorder wearing a halo. I am not here to recruit you into greed. Greed and guilt are twins. They both believe in scarcity. Greed clutches because it fears there will not be enough. Guilt refuses because it fears that being filled will make it bad. Order believes in a generous source and acts accordingly. In order, increase has a purpose, surplus has assignment, and enjoyment is not a crime. When you make room for order, you stop negotiating with every bit of good that approaches you. You allow it to arrive without apology, and you release it without drama, because you trust that circulation is lawful and return is inevitable. Where did guilt learn your address? From the household phrases and doctrines that trained your mouth to be suspicious of supply. You may have heard that rich people are cruel, that money corrupts, that wanting comfort is shallow, that desiring beauty is vanity, that it is safer to aim low. You may have watched adults apologize for small pleasures and perform fatigue as proof of virtue. Those scripts were not laws. They were coping strategies. You are not required to inherit them. You are required to interrogate them, bless the people who survived with them, and then replace them with lawful sentences that do not accuse your future every time it knocks. We will make this practical and physical, because guilt is not an idea, it is a posture. It shows up as a slump when you speak about your rate, a tight throat when you receive, a restless hand that reopens the banking app to punish a moment of joy. Begin with a simple examination that does not require a journal or an audience. The next time you picture a financial outcome you actually want, a paid-off balance, a higher rate, a commission, a windfall, notice the first reflex in your chest. If it is a pinch, name it without flattering it. That pinch is guilt, not guidance. Guidance gives instructions and opens doors. Guilt gives nothing but a case against you. When you name it, you remove its badge. Now we install policy. Policy is stronger than mood. Policy is what the subconscious files and enforces when your feelings wander. Your new policy is rightful prosperity. Rightful prosperity means this: it is correct for me to be well supplied. I use money in love. What comes to me arrives clean. What leaves me departs on assignment. Nothing living in my care is starved to prove a point. Say that to yourself in straight prose without melody. You are not trying to hypnotize yourself. You are establishing rules for the organization you run, your life. Speak these rules into the places where guilt usually speaks first. Before you answer a quote request, say, "It is correct for me to be well supplied." Before you accept a payment, say, "This arrives clean." Before you pay, say, "This departs on assignment." When you give, say, "I give from order, not from panic." When you save, say, "Reserves are readiness, not fear." Saving from fear hoards and goes stale. Saving from order creates a storehouse that flows on purpose when called. You can feel the difference in your body. One clenches, one breathes. Divine order is not a spreadsheet. It is peace governing process. But peace can be mapped into practice. Here's how you translate order into the living parts of your financial life, so guilt has less space to whisper. When you spend, you will stop performing remorse. If you cannot buy without punishing yourself inside, reduce the amount until you can. Order does not require a scolding to stay disciplined. Order chooses amounts that your spirit can stand behind, and then moves without second guessing. This is not permission to be wasteful. Waste lives in the same family as guilt. Both assume that the source is fickle, so one tries to grab at everything, and the other tries to forbid everything. Order asks one question: is this aligned with who I am and what I'm building? If yes, assign it and release it. If no, close the door without ceremony. You do not have to call what you do not choose evil to feel strong. Quiet refusal is stronger than public judgment. When you give, you will stop using gifts to purchase innocence. Guilt loves performative generosity because it gets to feel superior for a moment while secretly resenting the outflow. Resentful giving curses both the gift and the receiver. Give amounts that do not require you to rehearse martyrdom in your head. Start with numbers you can bless wholeheartedly and increase them as your peace increases. Joy is the multiplier. A small gift in joy outperforms a large gift wrapped in bitterness. You are not extracting interest from the universe with your offering. You are stating, circulation is safe in my hands. Safe hands receive more. When you save, you will name the reserve so it does not become a panic pile. Panic piles become altars to misfortune. Name the reserve by function: stability fund, build fund, freedom fund, and bless it routinely. This reserve is rightly named. It is a servant, not a shrine. If you find yourself checking the reserve to satisfy anxiety, close the app, breathe, and redirect your mouth to law. Savings are a choir, not a therapist. They amplify songs already chosen. Choose Order's song. When you pay debts, reject the identity of debtor. Debt is a structure, not a soul. Structures can be dismantled faster under law than under shame. Each payment is not a lash, it is a brick removed from a wall. Speak as you remove it. This balance dissolves in right sequence. I pay in peace, I remain in order. Guilt will ask you to punish yourself decades after the payment is complete. Do not renew expired sentences. Now we address the phrases that keep guilt on payroll. They seem small. They are not. Must be nice. I shouldn't want that. Who am I to charge that? Other people have it worse. I'll take whatever I can get. These are not empathy. They are evasions dressed as compassion. Empathy celebrates someone else's good without accusing your own. Compassion does not require you to starve. When these lines appear in your mouth, apply CRC without sermonizing yourself. Cancel. That sentence is rescinded. Replace. It is right for me to prosper rightly. Command. Sacred supply is inexhaustible. My channels are rightful. I receive in peace and give in joy. Then move your hands in a small action that agrees with the command. Send the invoice, accept the rate, put $10 into the reserve, pay the microbalance. Bodies remember doing better than they remember thinking. Divine order likes clear lanes. Assign your money to lanes so it stops wandering and bumping into your conscience. Do not build a labyrinth. Build a road. Picture 4 lanes: living, giving, building, storing. Living is flow for present function. Giving is flow for service. Building is flow for expansion, education, tools, assets. Storing is flow for resilience. Guilt will try to turn giving into everything and the other 3 into sins. Order lets each lane carry its proportion without accusing the others. If the proportions need adjusting, do it with calm, not with a whip. Calm adjustments hold. Whipped adjustments rebound. The household is where guilt recruits most efficiently. Someone will say, "Are we that kind of family now?" When you make a choice that does not match your old ceiling. Someone will roll their eyes at groceries with higher quality. Someone will snort at the idea of paying a craftsman what their work costs. You will not debate at dinner tables. You will not sermonize your children into anxiety. You will answer with order and move on. We spend in peace and we pay people properly. We don't buy to show off. we buy to bless our life. We don't apologize for provision, we steward it. If ridicule persists, set a boundary. We don't speak curses over money in this house. Then refuse to repeat the lines you just forbade. Leaders are followed by the sentences they allow in their rooms. A brief word about enjoyment because guilt loves to police it. Enjoyment is not a breach in the wall. It is proof that the wall is doing its job. If you cannot enjoy a small upgrade without narrating doom, you are training your field to associate increase with punishment. That is spiritual whiplash, and it breaks people. Practice small, unapologetic joys that match your current order. A better ingredient for dinner. A cleaner tool for your work. A short rest that replenishes. Enjoyment breeds grateful attention. Grateful attention prevents waste. People who cannot enjoy often overspend to feel something. People who enjoy rightly spend less and extract more life from what they have. You will also stop using confession as a lifestyle. Confession cleanses, it does not decorate. There is a fashion of telling on yourself cheaply and publicly, listing every flaw to prove honesty. That kind of confession keeps guilt famous and you small. Private confession, followed by policy, is how adults change. In private, admit, I have been cursing my supply and calling it realism. Then install the policy we have already written. From this hour, my words are lawful. I assign money by lanes. I receive without apology and give without resentment. I am not auditioning for worth. I am operating in order. Put something on the calendar that will tempt guilt. A meeting to raise a rate, a call to request what was promised, and keep it. Keeping the appointment is how you teach your system you mean what you say. Now to the phrase that haunted you as a child. Who do you think you are? Answer it before it is asked. I am the governor of what I have been given. I am the steward of my house. I am the voice that sets my field in motion. I do not invent law, but I speak it, and it obeys. That sounds grand because small language cannot carry large truth. Keep it in your mouth until your body stops shrinking when opportunities present themselves. Shrinking is a reflex built in a room where compliments were traps and offers were debts. You live in a different jurisdiction now. Divine order compresses your contradictions. Contradictions are expensive. Saying, I want increase, and then mocking people who have it. Saying, I want stability, and then chasing the thrill of crisis on purpose. Saying, I believe in circulation, and then resenting every time value leaves your hand. Order turns your mouth and your movements into colleagues. To aid the compression, give yourself a short daily check that a ruler could perform in the silence of an office. Ask, is my money aligned, assigned, and amplifying? Aligned means it sits under law, not under panic. Assigned means it has a job. Live, give, build, store. Amplifying means it is growing what is good in my care. Safety, skill, service, strength. If the answer is no in any column, do not whip yourself. Move one detail. A move is a sentence in action. Finally, we remove the last mask guilt wears, virtue through delay. Some of you have trained yourselves to believe that postponing every desire indefinitely makes you righteous. It makes you numb. Numb people rebel loudly later, and the rebellion is expensive. Wise delay is targeted. It has a date and a reason. Foolish delay is fog. It calls itself caution while it rots possibilities. Practice timely yes and timely no. A timely yes says, this is aligned and assigned now. A timely no says, this is not aligned yet. I will revisit on a date I choose. Put the date in your calendar. Keep your word to your own curiosity. When the date comes, decide cleanly. Every clean decision weakens guilt because guilt feeds on dithering. Guilt kept you polite when you needed to be powerful. It made you a beggar at doors already marked with your name. It convinced you to apologize for oxygen and then sent you into rooms to teach apologies to your children. You are not obligated to remain loyal to what harmed you just because it is familiar. You are obligated to be loyal to law. Law rewards loyalty with demonstration. Order is the environment where your decrees mature. In order, the same line you spoke at contact moves faster because channels are clear. In order, the same night and morning ritual stamps deeper because there is no double agent inside undermining it. In order, giving and saving lose their performative costumes and return to their actual purpose, circulation and readiness. In order, paying becomes proof instead of punishment. In order, opportunities recognize you sooner because your posture does not flinch when they arrive. From here, we step into the ground you have been craving since the first sentence of this teaching. Demonstration and dominion. Not stories to entertain you, but patterns to copy. Not superstition, but sequence. We will look at payments turning into proof, doors opening without strain, balances dissolving, rates rising, and how to keep your mouth from undoing what your law has begun. Dominion is not a louder speech. Dominion is ordered speech that refuses to contradict itself. When order holds, the field obeys. When the field obeys, you will not need to convince anyone that this works. You will become the evidence you use to look for. Demonstration is not the tale you tell after the fact. It is the sequence you practice before the fact until outcomes have no choice but to match. Dominion is not a volume setting. It is the absence of contradiction. Put them together, and what used to look like luck turns into something repeatable enough to teach. You are not here to collect impressive stories to post. You are here to install a pattern so clean that your next result looks inevitable. Even to people who don't share your language, we will keep this practical. Payments as proof, doors that open, balances that dissolve, rates that rise, and the single habit that protects everything you build, refusing to use your mouth against your own law. Begin where demonstration loves to hide, in payments. Most people treat paying as the opposite of prosperity. They pay with a wince and call the wince adulthood. Payment handled in order is one of the clearest proofs of circulation you will ever hold. It is a moment where value leaves with a destination and a promise. The promise is not sentimental, it is structural. What leaves in trust returns increased by grace through rightful doors. If you want to watch this in your own life without waiting for someone else's testimony, pick one recurring payment this week, a modest, predictable bill, and convert it into proof. Before you press send, stabilize your breath, speak the line, and add one assignment. This returns softened and multiplied through rightful channels. Any friction attached to this account dissolves. Then pay and stop narrating pain to your friends about it. 3 cycles later, you will notice the friction begin to drop. Renewal fees waived you would once have argued for, response times that shorten, a human voice offering help without you prompting it, a minor refund you would have missed before. People will call this customer service. Call it circulation behaving under a new policy. Now choose one irregular payment, something that carries emotional charge like a repair, a medical bill, a tuition installment, and treat it the same way. The goal is not to become numb. The goal is to become lawful. You are teaching your nervous system that large numbers do not outrank law. Stabilize, decree, assign, release. Do it once as a performance, and you will scare yourself straight back into panic. Do it 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, and the procedure will outgrow your fear. The first time a portion returns from a channel you didn't schedule, do not announce it as a miracle you can never repeat. Note the pattern, thank it in private, and repeat the sequence without theatrics. Demonstration matures when your gratitude turns into governance. Doors opening is the next line item, and this is where superstition likes to sneak back in. People pretend doors swing by whim, then act surprised when the same people get the same doors again and again. Doors answer posture, order, and speech. Here's the sequence that turns doorknobs without you begging in hallways. You bless your current channels by name. You declare that right doors open and wrong doors close quickly and gently. You move your feet toward the doors that match your assignment, see them, and you refuse to curse closed doors with sarcasm. Leave sarcasm to the board. You are not bored, you are building. Right doors open and wrong doors close is not a poem, it is a filter. The more you run that filter aloud, the faster you will step past distractions that used to waste weeks of your time. Distraction is expensive. Recovered attention is income. Dissolving balances requires the same discipline as growing reserves. Language first, then consistent action in the same family as the language. You will select one balance and give it a proper name. This is a dissolving balance. Not a lifelong identity. Not a confession on loop. A dissolving structure. You will speak that name every time you meet it, and you will attach a sequence. Minimums paid early without groaning, surplus assigned without revenge spending, and one imaginative channel invited. Refunds, renegotiations, unclaimed credits, rate reductions to join the process. People who complain well will tell you that creditors never reduce rates and companies never grant credit. People who govern learn that humans answer tone and systems answer order. Ask cleanly. Document calmly. Don't go to war with the clerk. The clerk is not the law, your mouth is. When the percentage changes, register the relief as a sign that order is winning. Then stay with the process until the structure is gone. When it is gone, do not keep speaking as though it remains. Retired balances should not still be writing your anecdotes. Rates are a quiet battlefield where guilt and order duel. You will not hide behind whatever you think is fair anymore. That sentence invites guilt to do your pricing. Instead, you will set a rate that your spirit can stand behind without apologizing, and you will practice saying it until your voice doesn't run away when someone asks. Practice matters because the body tells on you. When your price is lawful, your shoulders don't cave and your eyes do not search for mercy. If a prospect tries to pull you down by insulting the number, you will not deliver a sermon or throw a tantrum. You will say, "That won't work for this scope." And you will bless them genuinely as they go. Never curse the channels you release. Cursing is a door that swings back and hits your own mouth. If a negotiation is appropriate, you will reduce scope, not your dignity. For that budget, here is what fits. Law respects clarity. Games waste circulation. Perhaps you are waiting for the paragraph where I recite a string of big check anecdotes to make you feel something. I will not bait your adrenaline. I will give you patterns that you can copy today, because demonstration built on adrenaline fades faster than the receipts dry. Pattern 1. The refund spiral. Once a week for a month, look for one legitimate refund or credit. Duplicate subscription, mischarged fee, unredeemed warranty, without anger. Ask properly. Bless the human. Receive quietly. The act will teach your nervous system that money moves toward you without fight. Pattern 2. The clean invoice. Send invoices that are unambiguous, timely, and wrapped in lawful tone. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. Invoice attached. Payment due on date. Remove apology. Remove threat. Clean always collects faster than noisy. Pattern 3. The predictable yes. Choose one micro offer that you can deliver with excellence. Price it cleanly and offer it on a schedule you can keep. Consistent small yeses build lanes for larger work to arrive without drama. Pattern 4. The reserve ritual. Name your reserves by function and bless them weekly. Stability is funded, expansion is funded, generosity is funded. Amounts can be modest. Names are not modest. Names tell your field what the money is for. There is also the matter of timing, a subject that causes otherwise rational people to abandon law and adopt superstition the moment a date approaches. You will not bully divine order with a calendar. You will not train your mouth to panic because a day is near. The line for timing is simple, and you will wear it out. On time and on target. On time does not mean the exact second you prefer. It means not late for its assignment. You can hold that stance without caving into passivity. Passive people wait and call it faith. Active people decree, move, and refuse to contradict. If the target moves as targets do in living systems, you do not wail about betrayal. You recalibrate your steps and keep your law intact. Dominion is made of small recalibrations done without the theater of collapse. Dominion also requires rules about your mouth in rooms where money is a sport. Some rooms play status games with numbers. Some rooms trade fear for entertainment and call it honesty. You will not let rooms draft your language when your law is at stake. If the group is bragging, you do not need to perform poverty to look pure or perform riches to earn a chair. You can be the person who asks real questions about lanes, structure, and peace, and then goes home to bless your own. If a friend insists on rehearsing loss as identity, you will not argue theology with them over coffee. You will say, "I'm not repeating that over my house," and change the subject. Polite refusal is still refusal. Guardrails keep cars on roads. Guardrails for your mouth keep your house in order. Now, because you asked for something you can copy, here are demonstration sequences written as straight prose, so you can walk them without turning them into slogans. Scenario 1. A late invoice from a client you like. You send a clean reminder without apology. Hi name, hope you are well. Quick nudge, that invoice number is due date. Resending here for ease. Before you press send, you stabilize your breath and speak. Rightful channels clear quickly. I receive in peace. When payment arrives, you do not say, finally, with bitterness. You say, received in order, thank you. And you let the transaction leave your nervous system clean. Scenario 2. An unexpected expense stares at you from the mechanic's desk. You do not narrate a catastrophe. You ask for the scope. You choose a decision in order. You breathe, speak the line, assign the return. This leaves on assignment and returns increased by grace. And you pay like someone who believes circulation is real. Later that week, you resist the itch to punish yourself by starving joy. Starvation is not order. Order is clarity plus trust. You rest, you bless, you move. Scenario 3. An opportunity appears that you would once have disqualified yourself from before finishing the sentence. You do not self-reject. You ask, is this aligned with my lanes? If yes, you apply without fear embellished disclaimers. Your cover note is 3 lines: what you do, how it fits, and the link. Then you release it and refuse to rehearse failure as a way to pre-hurt yourself. Pre-hurt is a superstition for people who believe in punishment over law. You will protect your practice from two enemies that often wear the face of friends: spectacle and cynicism. Spectacle tries to turn every shift into a show. It uploads laws for likes. It confuses public performance with private power. Power dislikes spectacle because spectacle feeds on consistency and then accuses you when you need to be quiet. Cynicism smirks at everything that does not bow to fear on command. It pretends to be smart while quietly funding the very delays it complains about. When you are tempted to perform, go silent and repeat the sequence instead. Breath, decree, assignment, release. When you are tempted to smirk, name it as fear's humor, not your nature, and bless something small on purpose to break the pose. The pose has nothing to offer you except company in rooms where no one builds. There will be weeks when nothing dramatic happens, and you will wonder if you imagined the early wins. That is usually the week just before a structural shift. An offer closing, a balance vanishing, a channel opening that needed you quiet long enough not to frighten it away. The measure of dominion is not the size of your last deposit. The measure is how little your language wobbles when deposits rise and fall. If your speech buckles every time a number changes, you are still married to numbers and flirting with law on the side. End that arrangement. Numbers are reports. Law writes reports. You are on the writing team now. If you work for someone else, do not write yourself out of dominion. Employees carry law as cleanly as founders. You will not mutter, "I'm just on salary," as if salary were a prison. Salary is a channel. Channels multiply under law. Ask where your value can be multiplied. Make the case. Speak your rate before your review arrives. Suggest the scope that matches the number. Bless colleagues instead of poisoning the air with little jokes about leadership. Joke-poisoned rooms pay slowly. Order-breathed rooms find a way to move budgets. If leadership cannot see you yet, you will not craft a martyrdom out of staying. You will bless the house, seek rightful doors, and move without cursing the ground you walked on. Curses stick to the mouth that throws them. If you build on your own, you will end the habit of relaunching your identity with every offer and calling the fatigue hustle. Hustle is a tempo, not a god. Keep tempo when it serves. Break it when order asks for depth. Give yourself a small stack of repeatable offers and a schedule a human can keep. Speak about your work with honest nouns. Your work is not just a little thing. It is work. Work deserves sentences that do not diminish it to preempt someone else's critique. If you encounter a dry spell, you do not baptize it as fate. You check your gates, your contact ritual, your lanes, and your mouth. One misaligned piece can slow a machine. You fix the piece, and you stop telling the machine it is broken by nature. There is a question you have not said out loud because it sounds impolite. What if I do all of this and someone else still gets what I wanted first? Then bless what they received and refuse the old superstition that says their portion subtracts from yours. Scarcity trained you to count other people's plates. Law teaches you to tend your own kitchen. Blessing another's door accelerates your own because it removes guilt's last foothold, the belief that you are in competition for a limited affection. Affection is not limited, neither are channels. The field is large, and many doors are rightful. You do not need to copy a path to arrive at a destination. You need to keep your mouth from describing detours as doom. You will end with a compact dominion audit you can run in 60 seconds when the day feels noisy. Sit or stand. One deep exhale that drops your shoulders. Ask 3 questions. Is my speech today lawful? Are my movements aligned with my decree? Is my heart in order or performing? If the first answer is no, apply CRC on the spot and return to the line. If the second is no, change one action within 5 minutes. Send the invoice, move $10, close the tab. If the third is no, step away from the crowd. Breathe once and pray a single sentence that returns you to order. I am governed by peace, my channels are rightful. Then get back to work. Audits are not confessions. They are cleanings. Clean houses fill faster. And now, the charge that seals this entire instruction into one motion you can carry anywhere without props, witnesses, or perfect timing. At contact, you breathe once and decree, sacred supply is inexhaustible. I consecrate this money, it returns increased by grace through rightful doors. At the night gate, you close, clear, consecrate, circulate, assign, seal, and sleep. At the morning gate, you greet supply, consecrate, circulation, and move. In the day, you refuse to contradict. When guilt arrives, you revoke its badge and install policy. It is correct for me to prosper rightly. I receive in peace and I give with joy. You assign lanes, live, give, build, store. You bless payments as proof. You bless doors to open and close in order. You dissolve balances by name. You raise rates without apology and you let no be clean. You keep spectacle and cynicism out of your house. You bless what others receive and stop counting their plates. You audit swiftly when noise grows. Then you repeat, rhythm, not drama. Order, not panic. Law, not luck. If you want a closing sentence to carry in your pocket that we have not borrowed from anyone and that you can speak without tripping on imitation, take this and make it yours without shouting. My supply is steady and lawful. What I bless returns enlarged. I walk in order, I do not contradict. Speak it when you are calm so it is available when you are pressed. Speak it when nothing special is happening so your body stops reserving law only for emergencies. Speak it until your rooms adjust, your days coordinate, your doors recognize you, and your numbers learn your name. Then keep speaking, not to keep the machine from breaking, but because this is who you are now. A governor who treats money like breath, speech like law, and demonstrations like the natural weather of a house kept in order. You do not need a new miracle to begin. You need the same mouth you have always had. Placed in the right posture, sending the right sentence through gates you now govern. Touch your money and bless it. Pay and bless. Receive and bless. Plan and bless. Walk and bless. Refuse contradiction. Refuse spectacle. Refuse guilt. Install order. Circulate in peace. Return in increase. This is not noise, this is jurisdiction. And jurisdiction held steadily becomes dominion. When dominion holds, the field obeys. When the field obeys, you become the evidence you used to chase. That is demonstration. That is the point.